Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about herb storage. If there is anything besides books that can quickly grow out of control, I would say crystals too, but books and crystals, it would be herbs. And I have a lot. You see this wall behind me here? That's a fraction of the herbs I have. In fact, some of those jars, like this row right here, they're empty. They're waiting to be filled up. It's one of my projects for this week. So I used to store my herbs the way a lot of people did. Baby food jars. I would spray paint the lids copper. I got these from friends that had little kids because I don't have any little kids anymore. Run them through a dishwasher, make a little label, stick it on there with some packing tape, put it on the shelf. Sometimes I didn't even spray paint it. And then I would just stick the label that came with the herb from wherever I ordered it or whoever sold it to me. And then that would help me know what to do with what was in the jar. And that was when I was kind of starting out and I was new and I didn't really know a lot about the different properties of herbs and how to store them and whatnot. Okay, so fast forward. It is now a few years into my practice. And I've been, by the way, practicing for, let's see, my son is 31, so 27 years. Okay. So in 27 years, I've acquired quite a few things. But then I moved to my friend, the mason jar. Remember him? I'm sure a lot of you do. I'm sure a lot of you use them. Or that big cracker jar that's shaped like this. And so I put, this is from last Christmas Yule season. It is our favorite, mistletoe, right? A big favorite of the Scottish and the Vikings. And so I harvested this off a tree branch that fell during an ice storm. The thing about, I don't know if you know this, but Oklahoma is one of the biggest producers of mistletoe for the holiday season. So you're welcome. Anyway, so you could use the mason jar. But again, you got into this not really good storage situation. Didn't stack really well. Takes up a lot of space. And for a lot of herbs, we only need 1 or 2 ounces. They're very obscure. We don't use them very often. A good example of that is what was in this jar. Ooh, hello. In this jar was hemlock cones. So I literally transferred the contents of this jar into one of my new jars that I am going to show you today. So this is my new jar. It looks kind of like a little milk jug. And yes, that is all the hemlock pine cone thingies I have, hemlock cones I have. I don't need a lot of them. I don't use them super often, so I don't need a whole jar's worth. Here's another great jar. It's kind of the same shape, but it's shorter and squatter. These have the exact same volume. The only difference is that when you get a shorter, squatter jar, you get a wider opening at the top. And some herbs are a little bit bigger and need that extra space to get in the jar. And some herbs don't. Some herbs, I don't care what jar they go in as long as the jar fits on the shelf. So I've taken this jar and I've put in ground rosemary, lavender, and peppermint blend in this one. And I use this as an incense. In this one, we're going to make a label today for the hemlock cones. But I also bought a whole case of these jars, which are kind of cool. They have like a texture to them, a wider opening, and these are 6-ounce jars. Now, I used to be a fan of the jars that you see kind of back here. They have a little glass loop on them, and they hold a spoon. I was getting those from Hobby Lobby, and I really enjoyed them, but I'm having some political opinions related to Hobby Lobby right now. We're also in the middle of coronavirus, so we're on quarantine. I can't go shopping for them anyway. I can order these off of Amazon. So these jars, each one comes in a set of 30, and these were $24, and both of these were like $22, and that's with shipping. They come in a really nicely packed styrofoam kind of container, like a plasticky foam, they're not breaking. If they're broken, somebody really like drop kicked your box across the shipping place. So anyway, that's those. Now, when you get those, they come with some jute and these little paper tags that you punch a little hole in them. They look like this. And I think it's so that people could use them for wedding gifts or whatever. Little favors and such, but I don't use these. So what I end up doing is I put them in a zippy bag and I give them away to people that craft, or I take them up to school and I let the kids use them for whatever. Valentine's Day is a big one. So anyway, so I ordered this. This is a roll of 800 craft peel and stick tags. It was less than $6 delivered, and they work fabulous. So today I'm going to show you how I make my labels like this. It's a neat trick somebody else showed me, and I just really think it looks good. So I'm hoping you can see this really well. Let's see if I can zoom in. No, I cannot. So this is the best I can do. Sorry about that. I'm going to take a Sharpie marker, and using sticks and stems, if you might remember kindergarten when you learned to write, I'm going to write the word hemlock and the word cones. So I'm just going to pick whatever label I want. I think I'll start on this one on the bottom just because, hey, it's on the bottom. So I just write with straight lines. And rounded letters. Nice and tidy. Now, let me bring that up so you can see it a little bit better. So I've just simply written hemlock cones on this piece of paper. Now, anywhere there is a downstroke, pardon my nails, by the way, there's no salons open, so on any letter that has a downstroke, I'm going to thicken the line. So now I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to take my H, and the other side. I'm just going to do all of hemlock. And it doesn't have to be perfect. So here's what I've got so far. I've done all the downstrokes here. And now I'm going to do lock. And what I really like about this is you can have pretty sloppy handwriting, and this will cover up a multitude of sins. It looks really nice, and it boldens it, so when it's on the shelf, it's a little easier for you to locate. And one of the other things I really like about this is because I'm handwriting them. Now let me bring this in again for you. Okay. So on the downstrokes, and I kind of on my K's do the bottom part. You could, I guess, do that one, but you get the idea. And the other side of the O, you can do a little bit, but I like it this way. Okay, so now I'm going to do cones. So on the C, I'm going to do that. Make it bold on the outside downstroke. My O again. My N. My E. Now my S, I just kind of do it right in the little squiggly part. I don't know what you would call that, the squiggly part. So there you go. So that's hemlock. And I'm going to actually extend my little K, out a little bit. All right. So then I just peel it. I know this is complicated, people. Stick with me now. You peel it off. My marker out of my hand. You peel it off. You take your jar, you stick the label onto the jar, and you're done. That's it. Now, let's say you have buyer's remorse, or you decide to switch jars, or you use up the contents and you're not going to replace them because, you know, how often do you use hemlock cone, right? Well, the suggestion for that is to use my friend Goo Gone. I buy this actually at the dollar store. Okay, so this bottle will last you a super long time. I use it a lot in my classroom and other things. So I actually take a little of this and put it in another travel size squirty bottle I got at the dollar store and use it. So you just squirt it on there and it'll dissolve the sticky part of the label. And then you clean the glass jar on the outside using your what? Dollar store window cleaner. Or you take the label off and run it through the dishwasher, but don't run the cork. The cork doesn't go in the dishwasher. So that's it. So let me take you now on a tour of all of my herbs, and you can get an idea of how I store them. Okay, we are now facing my herb wall, and you can see that this is the box that my jars came shipped in. And once again, I was shorted a couple of corks. I am missing actually 5 corks, but that's okay because I'm going to use those jars for other things. So I'm not going to get upset about it because I got a screaming deal on them. They got delivered to me. Life moves on. So over here on this wall, here are my empty jars. I have a lot of herbs in plastic bags that I've not put in jars yet because I didn't want to do the baby food thing again. Then these are the jars I was explaining that I purchased at Hobby Lobby. And I really like them because they had this little spoon for serving up whatever was in it. And these labels I bought on Instagram, no, not Instagram, Etsy. But I just think they're a little more fancy than what I need. So I like them on some jars, but I don't use them on others. Here's the way I like to do it. Just make it nice and dark. So this center section, again, look up at the top. You'll see that there's a baby food jar left over. And then there's the other jars. Right? And back behind the chair is actually a whole bunch of jars as well. And they're the shorter squat jars. And then some things I just buy come in cool jars, like this little thing of sulfur came in this very cool glass container. And then there's more up there. So the idea is to store things in a way that you can find them easily, you can see how much you have, and you keep them out of direct sunlight. And in this case, because I use lace curtains, that helps to diffuse the light. And then over my desk area, I have shades that I pull down. In addition to the little bottles that you saw me use on my shelves, right here on my windowsill, you can see that I use a lot of little bottles for tinier things, such as little stones and whatnot. So that concludes my tour of my herbs and how I make my labels and store them. I will put in the links below, links to all of these jars that I've purchased and to these labels. If you have questions, comments, or concerns, leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.